Welcome to another edition of the Litigation Psychology Podcast, brought to you by Courtroom Sciences. Dr. Bill Kanasky. Oh, man. I just had a brutal shoulder workout. Got the man cave / gym. It's like 90% there. Got one more piece of equipment I'm waiting on. Just had a brutal shoulder workout. And look, shoulders are important, okay? And many people screw up their shoulder workout. And the reason why is that the anterior deltoid gets way too much attention, okay? Like anytime you're bench pressing, do anything chest, that anterior deltoid is helping out, all right? That's why you see most people bigger front of shoulders, very weak in the back. Always start your shoulder workout with the rear delt, followed by the middle delt, and then maybe just a little bit on the anterior delt to top it off. That's how you're going to have symmetrical shoulders, folks. See? Exercise physiology. Gotta love it on the podcast, right? Get healthy, people. Life's too stressful out there. The world's crazy. Get in the gym and lift heavy things until it hurts, and then rest about 90 seconds, and then do it again. You won't be worrying about the stock market or politics at this point. You'll be worried about your life. Oh, gotta hit the protein shake here. All right. It's another lecture. I got another lecture. I printed out a lecture for you guys today. And I do these lectures, so it's not just me kind of ranting all over the place. Take a little bit of a deeper dive into some of these topics that we're talking about. Throw out some more neuroscience, neurochemistry, to really break down what's going on here. I got like protein drink all over my face. I slopped it on myself already. It's not a good start to this podcast, folks. All right, what are we going to talk about today? We are going to talk about cortisol. Cortisol is a problem. It's the stress hormone released by the hypothalamus to prepare you for fight or flight. Now, the interesting part about cortisol, okay? Well, let's just back up. If you have a witness that their hypothalamus is pumping out cortisol at a high rate because they're stressed and they're feeling threatened, it's going to completely disrupt, neurochemically disrupt cognition. Yeah. We don't want that. All right. But here's the interesting thing about cortisol. We have to think about it on the stress performance curve. Look this up. The stress performance curve. It's kind of a sports psychology thing too, but any type of performance-based thing. But it's big time. It's a big time theory in sports psychology. And what the stress performance curve tells us, that on a scale of 0 to 10, being stress, if the performer, meaning the athlete, or in our world, the witness, or if you, attorneys, you're delivering an opening statement or a closing argument. Now you're the performer. This applies to you. So everybody listen up. On a 0 to 10 scale, if your stress level is between 4 and 6, on the curve, on the performance curve, this is where we see optimal performance. Why? Because some stress is good. Keeps you on your toes, keeps you focused, keeps you alert. You want to have some stress, that 4 to 6 level. If it goes over 6, and you're into 7, 8, 9, 10 zone, it's going to screw everything up. It will disrupt cognition and performance, and you're going to be in trouble. Imagine if you're an attorney giving an opening statement and your stress level is at 8.5. Well, you're going to be blah, 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 blah. You're going to be up there stumbling, fumbling, right? It's too much. Here's the interesting part. If it's under a 4, it's not enough because you'll be too passive. You'll be too relaxed. Attorneys, you want to be calm and confident in your presentations, but you don't want to be too calm and passive. That would look kind of weird. Witnesses, right? You want witnesses to be alert, okay? To have enough stress to be on alert, to maximize performance, but you don't want them to be too calm, right? What if your witness's stress was a 1 out of 10? I mean, it'd be like nap time, right? Attorneys, if you're giving an opening statement or you're examining a witness at trial, you're giving a closing argument, you're doing voir dire. Imagine if you're at a 1 or a 2 out of 10. Kind of hard to be passionate and energetic when you're that low. So, stress performance curve, we want to be between 4 and 6. Okay, meaning a moderate level of cortisol is good. Keeps you on your toes, ladies and gentlemen. Keeps you on your toes. So let's get into the lecture, cover a little bit about this, kind of what's going on neurocognitively, neurochemically, so you kind of know why things happen. Because I get a lot of questions about that from attorneys. Well, I told my witness this, and then my witness did this. They didn't listen. I'm like, huh? Maybe they listened. Maybe they did listen. In fact, I can guarantee you they listened. The problem was, neurochemically, they got hijacked, which makes them incapable of carrying out your wishes. This is why you tell your witness, slow down, go slow, take your time. Well, you get that cortisol up to an 8. That ain't happening. That ain't happening, right? All right, so let's dive in here. So remember, we've talked about this before, but I'm gonna go over it again, over and over and over. Okay, 2 parts of the brain that balance each other out. We have the prefrontal cortex. Here, see, it's right here. See, right here. Oops, there you go. For those of you watching on YouTube, it's right, the prefrontal, it's down here too. Prefrontal cortex. This is where we want to be, right? Here and here. But see, down here, you can't see it. It's underneath. It's a deeper structure. Amygdala, hippocampus. This is the balancing act. Okay? Balancing act. Okay? What we want is prefrontal cortex. This is the area of the brain responsible for logical thought, rational thought, executive functioning. It's the most human, highest level part of the brain, right? Judgment, critical thinking. This is all prefrontal cortex, folks. That's the brain we want lit up the whole time during testimony for our witnesses. Now, as you know, it's going to do battle with the amygdala and hippocampus, because they're like knocking on the door going, hey, I want to play, when things start to get tense during testimony. These are the 2 brain systems doing battle. By the way, for like the 150th time, there's no such thing as the reptile brain. Please stop. I keep hearing that, like that was debunked 40, 50 years ago. You still hear, people still say it, and then it's nuts. I remember when I first got the reptile book, like over like 12 years ago. I went to chapter 2, that introduction, right? Chapter 1. Then chapter 2, it's called the science. That's the label, the title of chapter 2 in the reptile book, the original reptile book, is called The Science. I have the whole thing memorized. It starts on page 17. So I'm like, okay, let's see what this, I had no idea what it is. This is the first time I looked at it. Starts on page 17. The chapter ends on page 19. I shit you not. The science in the reptile book, it's chapter 2. It starts on page 17. It ends in the middle of page 19. It's two and a quarter pages. That's how much science is in the reptile book. It's all stuff from like 1974. Yeah, terrible stuff. Okay, so we're dealing with these two brains, right? So we got cortical, subcortical. Cortical, higher level functioning. Subcortical, survival responses. Okay, so if you want to like impress your friend, stop saying reptile anything. Just say subcortical. It's a deeper subcortical. You'll be like, you're going to seem very, very smart at social gatherings, right? Say somebody's getting aggravated or angry, you can say, hey, that person's got, some deep subcortical amygdala hijack going on there. And all your friends can be like, holy shit. Well, wait, what was that? Oh, it's subcortical. The amygdala and hypothalamus, right? Oh, hippocampus, excuse me. See, I screwed that one up. All right, these are the two structures doing battle. Now, we want to maintain this moderate level of cortisol, okay? So remember, cortisol is a hormone that's produced in the hypothalamus. That's why I said hypothalamus earlier, because that was the area I was just getting ready to talk about. Hypothalamus, hippocampus, right? Now, two very, very different brain structures. So we want to keep that between 4 and 6, right? Don't want to be too relaxed, but don't want to be too stressed. So let's talk more about this. So when we have too much cortisol, let's go over the laundry list of bad things that happen. Let's go. I printed out a list here. Number 1, working memory disruptions. So prefrontal cortex, that's what we want, right? It struggles to retain and organize complex information, making it difficult for witnesses to recall key facts under pressure. Meaning high cortisol screws up memory. I've seen these witnesses that are really, tense and nervous and anxious. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know. And they're talking da. It's cortisol, right? Because all that stuff you did in your witness prep in that nice, safe environment, well, now they're not in such a safe environment. Cortisol's going through like Pac-Man, eating neurons in your brain, and the witness brain can't function. Okay? That's what cortisol's doing. It's not good when it gets over that moderate amount, right? It disrupts working memory. Well, memory is kind of important in testimony. Think about attorney again. I'm gonna start talking about some attorney performance. It's all performance. Attorney performance. You ever giving an opening or a closing and you kind of like lose where you're at and well, you get off track. Much of the time that's cortisol. Okay? See this cat, you just ignore me until I'm in the middle of a podcast. Now you love me. Why is that? I don't understand. You gonna stick around? Okay. She's gonna stick around. That's fine. Making my cortisol go up. All right. Second thing here. So we get too much cortisol going, leads to poor decision making. Yeah. So now, again, instead of prefrontal cortex being in charge, okay, now we're going to start more leaning on survival-based responses. Okay, impulsive answers, spontaneous answers, no cognition. Maybe a little bit starting to get defensive, right? Instead of strategic measured answers. I was watching at depth. I got up at 4 a.m. this morning, 3:47 to be exact. Got up and started watching deposition testimony for a witness that I'm preparing for trial. And he was getting aggravated and started with this like spontaneous, impulsive answers. Not really thinking at all. Okay, that's where cortisol pushes the witness. Stress level was up. You could tell he was frustrated. That's when the cortisol starts pumping. And then you start getting impulsive and spontaneous with answers, meaning you speak without thinking effectively. He's saying all kinds of crazy. Started guessing at everything because he's stressed, right? So again, cortisol, not good. And then finally, when you get even the higher levels of cortisol, you can lose complete emotional like it's just emotional dysregulation. This is where you see some of the funny videos that I play or that you've seen on YouTube. We have like the epic emotional meltdowns, right? That's when cortisol and its neighbor, its friend, its best friend, adrenaline, have now just taken over the whole system. Those two things get going, we've got trouble. Now here's the good thing. If you learn how to balance cortisol secretion, it can kind of leave its friend in the box, right? We can leave adrenaline out of this. But once cortisol gets to a certain level, adrenaline's going to fall right behind it. Because remember, the brain's preparing for a fight or to run. And these two chemicals then work together and everything exponentially gets worse. Because now, once you get into kind of full survival mode, there's like there's no logic, there's no rational thought, there's no cognition because the brain's flipped over into survival mode. All right? So this cortisol stuff is bad. So now, attorneys, you need to be, so I'm watching this deposition today and I'm going, oh my God, like, why is the defense attorney not calling for a break now? Because all the signs were there, right? So let's talk about this, like, what are you looking for? This applies to plaintiff attorneys. You're defending your client's step is the same thing, right? So whether you're a plaintiff attorney, a defense attorney, all this apply. Cortisol is cortisol. Doesn't matter who the witness is. What are we looking for? Number one, shifts in body language and facial expression. This is typically where it starts. Hell, just in regular everyday life, if you want, how do you detect somebody is their cortisol is increasing, right? That stress level is above a 6. First place it shows up is their face and their posture, right? In everyday society, okay? When people start to get uncomfortable, stress level goes up. First place you see it is in their face. followed very closely by their body language. So you see this like shift in demeanor, right? And the problem is, whoever the questioning attorney is, it's like you're advertising, I don't like this, get me out of here, right? Because your facial expression and your posture has shifted. You're telling everybody in the room, in the conference room, hey, I don't like this, I'm stressed. And then whoever's cross-examining you now has just the green light to pour it on. Okay? So that's kind of the first thing you're looking for. It's going to be nonverbal. Okay? It's very difficult for people to hide stress. It's coming out in one way, shape, or form, and usually a combination of things. But look for the body language, the facial expression, things like that. Secondly, tone. The tone of your witness's voice will change. Okay? You'll notice the tone. Now, sometimes it can change. Remember, there's two extremes here. It could be a more aggressive tone because they're stressed. Or it could be more, remember, it's just like more the fight, right? Or it could be more the flight, where the tone is like, okay, get me out of here. More of a pacifying tone with an increased rate of speech and more talking. Okay? So that can go either direction. It could be an aggressive more talking, that's fight. Or it can be the passive, like more of a pacification type of tone change. Or say, okay, hold on, calm down, let me explain, blah, 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 and they start blah, 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 right? Okay, so watch for changes in tone from confident and professional, right? That's where you want them, confident and professional. If it starts to change, you got cortisol kicking in. Maybe a really good time for a break. Because see, once it goes full, like once this cortisol gets to 7, it stays in your system for hours. You want to catch it when you're like at 6.5 and go, okay, time out, let's take a break. Right, so attorneys, you got to be looking at things. And again, if you're a plaintiff attorney and you're defending your client's debt, it's the same process. It's the same process. It doesn't matter who the witness is. Yes, we have plenty of plaintiff attorneys that listen to the podcast. I'm not a hater. Okay. All right, what else we got here? So, another thing that we'll see with cortisol is that your witness is going to wear down faster because you expend an incredible amount of energy once this stuff gets into your system. Okay? So we're looking for signs of fatigue. So you'll see that both verbally and non-verbally, right? You'll see as cortisol increases, you'll see that kind of witnesses will stop pausing. They'll answer quickly. The rate of speech will increase. Okay? That's all big problems. And so you'll notice witnesses, like a lot of witnesses start off doing well, and then once the tension, right, increases, or the questioning attorney starts to apply pressure or a threat of some sort, that's when you start seeing all the changes. And it's always typically some combination of like, the body language, the facial expression, the tone, the speed, right? You start seeing things fall apart in those areas. And that's because cortisol is being secreted by the hypothalamus, right? That stress level is above a 6. The body and mind is preparing for fight or flight. And so attorneys got to be looking for this stuff. you got to be looking for this stuff. And that's where you need to take a break. Because the last thing you want is, you're at 6.57, it starts getting to 8 or 9. It's pretty much over, because it's going to flood the system. And there's no turning back once you flood the system. Okay, once adrenaline kicks in, forget about it. Okay, so if cortisol elevates, we can catch that, we can take breaks, we can get that 7 back down to a 6 or a 5. But under no circumstance are you going to take a 9 and get it back to a 5. Not happening. So attorneys, during depositions, you should be watching your witness and listening very, very carefully, looking for these signs of stress and cortisol elevating, and catch it. Catch it. Now, here's the funny thing. I was watching another different deposition the other day, and the defense attorney was actually making their own witness more stressed, because there's a lot of bickering with the plaintiff attorney. And I get it. You want to protect your witness. Okay. Well, if your witness is not ready, like you better tip off your witness. Like, hey, if this guy starts asking very inappropriate questions, I'm going to bark back. Okay. Your witness better be ready for that. Otherwise, the brain, right? Their brain is going to see that and go, oh my God. And then cortisol is going to go through the roof. Right? So if you're defending a deposition, I think it's okay to protect your client to the death, but if you're going to be very aggressive, I think it's very important that the witness know about that up front. By the way, what's the number one thing that sets cortisol through the roof? Surprises. Surprises. I don't like surprises. We've talked about this before. My birthday's coming up, by the way. In fact, this may post right around my birthday. I hate surprise gifts. I hate surprise parties. I hate surprise anything. Hate it. Brain doesn't react well to it. Okay? So, another thing that will increase cortisol, which is now this is expected, is exhibits, pictures, videos in the case that elicit stress, right? Bad stuff, accident scene photos, dash cam video, body cam video of police, bad emails. This stuff sends cortisol through the roof. Through the roof. So, your witness's brain needs to be trained appropriately to handle all this, is where I'm getting at. I just want to give you a little neurochemistry, kind of what's going on. Because a lot of witnesses I hear a lot of attorneys blame their witnesses. Well, I worked with this person for 2 days, and then they got into depth, and they didn't listen to a damn word I said. I don't think that's what happened at all. I think their brain got hijacked. Neurochemically is what I think happened. They listened to you. They listened to you. But if their brain's not wired for this, they have no chance. They have no chance. So attorneys, we need to approach... Yeah, I love it when you hire me or somebody from one of my colleagues from my team. It's great. I know you can't hire us in every case. I get that. But you better start looking at this stuff a little differently. So when you're doing your witness prep, you start thinking about cortisol and stress levels and how to prepare the witness for it. See, you prepare the witness on all the strategy stuff, Cortisol gets injected into this equation. You could destroy your strategy right out the window. Throw it right out the window. Okay? I'm getting spammed on my phone. Jesus. It never stops. All right. So we want to prevent cortisol overload, right? Remember, we want some cortisol, but we want to keep this witness, we want to keep this witness between 4 and 6 and not get over that 6 mark. And then if you see it get to 7, pull the plug, because then you can reset it. But once you get over, you start getting to 8, 9, 10, it's going to be there for the next 4, 5, 6 hours, right? Oh, some other things to look for as well. We talked about, body language, facial expression, stuff like that. Some witnesses, like when it gets really, this is probably too late. Like if you start noticing shallow breathing, right? They start getting really fidgety. You may be approaching 8 by that point, but you have to look for this type of stuff, right? Now here's a clear thing where it's gone too far. If you're and I've seen this a bunch of times, you've all seen it, and it's all happened to all of us, where the witness's face will like turn red. That's cortisol. Right? That's cortisol. Your witness, right? That stress level's getting into that 8 or 9, and they turn red. Sometimes you see the veins popping out in the forehead or the neck. Okay? We don't want it to get to that point. We really, really don't want to get to that point. So those are warning signs. I would argue those are a little bit too late. You can catch this stuff earlier, but you got to look for the little changes in the facial expression, posture, body language, tone, speed. Okay? These will be the red flags before the plane crashes into the side of the mountain. You don't want the plane. Here's what I see. I see the plane crash in the side of the mountain, and then the attorney goes, you know what? I think it's time for a break. Seriously? I see it all the time. So that's why I'm doing this lecture today, to try to prevent some of this by looking for the, right? Looking for the little things that will precede the major stress response, right? The little things. It's important to look for those things. Now, again, kind of when the outcomes of these, again, it starts little, but then it gets worse and worse and worse. Is like, things like over-explaining, right? Cortisol has a big impact on that. Or you start getting to the, I don't know, I don't remember, I don't know, I don't remember, because it's more of a panic response, right? Again, when these things start happening, it could get really, really, so again, you want to address this stuff early. Okay, you have to be. I really, but any attorney, and again, plaintiff or defense attorney, if you're defending a deposition, this is hard work because you're juggling a lot of things. Well, number one, you should not be on like the ESPN app checking scores, even if it's March Madness. Or a Cubs 120 game, right? Don't be doing that. But you're juggling a lot of things. Number one, you're listening to questions, say, should I object, right? So you're doing a lot of mental homework, right? On that. And now I'm asking you to, while you're doing that, keep an eye on the witness. But a different type of eye, right? Looking for these things. Yeah, it's hard. There's some multitasking that's going to have to be done here by the attorney to pick up on this stuff. Because once it goes off the rails, it's going off the rails. And again, I see so often that like the anxiety and the stress, the cortisol has to, all this stuff has to get to a 9 before the attorney will say, you know what, let's take a break. You need to learn how to detect it at like 6.5, 7. That's where you need to learn how to detect this. So we have to look for the little subtle things that kind of get this stress response started, and then you pull the plug. All right? So it's tricky. It's really, really tricky, but it's very, very doable. We see it in the witness training. I can tell you the exact number any witness is at any given time without asking them. Why? Because I know what a 7 looks like. I know what a 4 looks like, and I certainly know what a 9 and 10 look like. Okay? But that's something I think attorneys can practice doing if you read up on some of this stuff. Okay? What else here? Yeah, we talked about the facial expressions, man. But the guessing. Oh my God, the guessing. So again, back to the depth this morning. The witness said it's like 4 times. You tell the witness was stressed and not getting a break, which is bad. And the stress just keeps compounding, right? And the witness would say he said it like 4 times in 30 minutes. I know I'm not supposed to guess, but here's my best guess. Like, announced it. Like most witnesses guess and don't announce it. This witness was saying, hey, by the way, I'm guessing. And the look on his face and his posture, very, very different from the start of the deposition. I started to detect some of these things on the video early. You could just see it gradually. You could see that number was going up. Because he started about a 4 or 5. Is good. But then you get to like 15 to 20 minute mark, and then you start sitting there like you got to 6. And then as we're approaching like 40 to 45 minutes, it was a 7. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, it's 47 minutes. Like right now, there should be a break. This witness is fatigued. They're stressed. The frustration's mounting. The first break came at 1 hour, 27 minutes. Couldn't believe it. 1 hour, 27 minutes. So there was a 40-minute time span where this stress just got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. 40 minutes. 40 minutes. Wow. Unnecessary. So you got to learn how to detect this stuff and know when to take breaks. Now, I see, I'm a very preventative type of person. The break should come at 45 minutes. Why? Because we've done a million podcasts, and I've told you all the science behind that. That's just for attention and concentration purposes, 45 minutes for cognitive fatigue. But there's also a stress component to this that goes up over time. So again, over 45 minutes, it's just 45 minutes. Don't wait till the plane crashes into the mountain, please. So what can we do with the witness now in prep? So you're in prep. This is what I do, but let's assume you don't have me or one of my teammates. Or you've hired another consultant who's just terrible. Yeah, that happens. Trust me, I hear the stories. Someone has no training in psychology whatsoever, but you hired them to prep your witness for probably your client made you. And you're sitting there in the witness prep going, oh my God, why? Just why? Okay. So attorneys, you're going to have to do a little bit of armchair psychology here. Okay. So the first thing that you need to do with the witness is educate them about stress and cortisol and give a little truncated version of the talk that I just gave for the last 25 minutes. Tell your witness about the stress response. Tell them about the stress performance curve. Educate your witness about stress and talk about cortisol. Tell them, hey, we want a little bit of cortisol. Give them some examples. I like the sports examples, if that works with your witness, to tell them how a professional athlete, right, they perform their best between 4 and 6. And when it gets over that, you start missing free throws and you start throwing the ball, making bad passes. Why? Stress. Cortisol. Okay. Talk to them about that. Number one, educate them at a basic level. At a basic level. This is the first step to inoculation, is education. What did I say? If you've all listened to my voir dire series, by the way, that got a lot of good play, got a lot of good feedback on that. What's my role? If you want to prevent a problem, expose the problem. Look, my cortisol is going through the roof because I'm pounding the desk here. If you want to prevent a problem, expose the problem. How do you expose it? You tell your witness. This is what's going to happen. And you have to teach the witness to self-monitor. Always, where's your number at? Where's your number at? The moment you get to 6.1, you look right at me and go, I need a break. You get to 6.1, you look right at me. I need a break. Okay? They've got to know what their number is. So what you'll see during many of my witness trainings, I'll barge in out of nowhere and go, what's your number? I'll make them give me the number throughout the whole day. They'll be like, yeah, I'm a 5. Okay. Then 20 minutes later, I'll be like, what's your number? Like, oh, I'm a 6 now. Yeah, I could tell. Because you're right at the, can't get any more than this, right? Okay. Education. You want to prevent a problem, expose the problem. How do you do that? You educate the witness. You expose the problem. You educate the witness, okay? Teach them how to self-monitor and how to communicate with you, okay? So many witnesses think that they just need to tough it out. Well, no, they don't. They really, really don't. Okay. Second step here is skills acquisition. We have to teach them skills. Attorneys, you're going to have to practice this stuff to become good at it. I mean, Dr. Wood and I can do this for you. Dr. Wood's really good at what I'm about to tell you. Breathing. The number one thing to do to prevent cortisol secretion is breathing techniques. Number one. Every performance, whether it's professional athlete, actors, actresses, ballerinas, whatever. Number one skill from sports psychologist or any performance psychologist is breathing skills. Okay? That's a natural way to keep cortisol in its place and to keep adrenaline in the box. Okay? Breathing. So what do you got to do with this? We got to teach them how to breathe appropriately, which is more diaphragmatic breathing and lower costal breathing as opposed to sternum, upper chest breathing. But the key to this, how are we supposed to breathe and stay relaxed? Well, you got to go slow. They've got to go slow. They start falling into rapid fire questioning. They're answering questions like this. The whole thing, the train just goes off the tracks. It's bad, bad, bad. So they have to learn. That's why it's so hard. That's why my team and I, these are really difficult skills to learn. So we have to teach these witnesses how to breathe, how to pace yourself, how to go slow, because the brain doesn't know how to do it. We live in a very fast-paced society. One of my clients texts me, if I don't answer in 10 seconds, they're pissed at me. It's like, come on, folks. The brain is not wired to go deliberately slow and methodical. It's not. It's not. Okay, so they have to learn those skills. Learn how to breathe, learn how to go slow. Okay? And then also maintaining positive thinking. that inner voice. If it's negative, going, oh my God, I'm going to screw this up. I'm going to screw this up. I'm going to lose the case. We're screwed. But yeah, the cortisol is going to go through the roof. But if you're thinking positively, going, I'm good, I'm in control, I'm well prepared, okay, cortisol is going to come down into the zone that we want it to. All right? And then finally, we have to apply these skills in a simulation. This is where your systematic desensitization, we've talked about that many times before, is you have to have repeated exposure to stimuli that naturally causes cortisol secretion. So all those bad pictures, they've got to be looking at them constantly, not just throughout your session, but throughout the week and then the week afterwards, okay? Desensitization will suppress cortisol secretion, right? Bad videos, dash cam video, ugh, right? That horrible email that they sent. Yeah, we've all done that, right? Just looking at that email, your heart's like, boom, 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 boom. By the way, so when you have stress, right, and your heart rate goes from 60 to 92, what do you think that is? It's cortisol. It's what it does. Well, it's too much cortisol is the point. So if your heart rate's at 60, you get a little cortisol boost, and you're like at 72. You're on your tiptoes right there. You're good. Your heart rate starts getting into the mid 80s, low 90s. Yeah, that's your cortisol's through the roof. That's the purpose of cortisol, right? And why we want to take care of this. So systematic desensitization. You can train the witness how to control their cortisol secretion, but you have to actually expose them to the negative stimuli that they're going to face in testimony. And you have to do so repeatedly. That's how the brain becomes desensitized. Repeated exposure. It's the only way through it. Now, how do we do this? Don't throw them right in the deep end. Remember, it's not called desensitization. It's called systematic desensitization. So what does that mean? It's a gradual increase in the negative stimulus and the intensity of the stimulus. So you don't bring the truck driver in your office and go, "Hey Joe, how are you?" Now let's go right to the dash cam video where you killed a family of 4 because you're looking at your phone. Okay, I'm gonna hit play right now. Ready? Let's watch this. Okay, not a good idea, folks. There's nothing systematic about that, right? How do we do this? Well, first of all, we're gonna talk about it. That would be step 1 in systematic desensitization, is talking. Then you get through that process. You're going to see you're going to see the stress response, and you're going to work through it. Okay. Then when the time and the place is right, then you're going to, I'd probably go to like a police report next. I wouldn't even jump to pictures, because now you're going to get the brain's going to react to that, right? So you got talking, maybe police report, then maybe pictures, then video. Would be a great example of systematic desensitization to get the brain to adapt to those negative stimuli. Because trust me, the shock value up front, it's going to be automatic. But then with repeated exposure, okay, the brain settles down. The brain settles down. But those few exposures are, so yes, you can make your witness worse by just jumping right to the video. Okay? So that, and then also, this is the final part of this that I'm going to go, is you want to train your witness through the systematic desensitization to have them self-monitor, right? You want them to know. Now, remember, attorneys, you need to be watching them like a hawk, looking for these little mini signals, the precursors of the full stress response. So you could call for a break. However, do this as a team. The witness needs to be able to self-identify these, if possible. I think that's important. So they have to be able to self-monitor. You know, how am I breathing? Am I sternum chest breathing? Am I clenching? Am I fidgety? How's my posture? How's my facial expression? Kind of what's my overall tension? What's my number? What's my number? And teach them how to recognize, you know, what a 7 feels like versus a 5. Okay? So this stuff takes time, and all this stuff always gets skipped. It always gets skipped. And you just tell your witness, hey, be calm. Don't lose your mind. There's nothing to stress about here. Nothing to see here. It's like Leslie Nielsen and the Naked Gun. Nothing to see here. There's like a big explosion behind him, right? So, yeah. So let's wrap up here. So, yeah. So neurochemically, this is all cortisol, really. Okay. And I think there's a lot, attorneys, I think there's a lot you can do with your witnesses as far as, remember, educate them, okay? Give them some tools. Breathe. The only way to breathe is to go slow, okay? Teach some self-awareness skills. And then on the tail end of your prep, start that systematic desensitization. Don't go overboard too quickly. Okay. Ask them their number. If you're going to get anything out of this podcast, teach your witness the number system. I need to know your number. And test them throughout what's your number right now? I'm a 4. Okay. Then start showing them, you know, bad stuff. What's your number now? Well, now I'm kind of 6.5, 7 now after looking at those pictures. Okay. Let's take a moment here. Let's breathe. Right? Okay, that's the type of back and forth that you need to do to get a witness to the next level. I think the problem in litigation, and quite frankly, the problem for attorneys, is you're so focused on strategy, you don't really want to put up with this stuff. Right? Strategy. It's a lot. So consider that. Read up on the stress performance curve. Read up a little bit about cortisol, okay? And maybe for your next witness prep, when you don't have me or Dr. Wood or one of my colleagues, maybe take a couple minutes and insert some of this into your witness prep. Rather than just give the kind of, hey, stay calm and everything will be fine speech. Maybe educate them, you know, educate yourselves a little bit about cortisol and amygdala hijack. And how self-monitoring of stress is so important. And then talk to the witness about that. Because you got to tell the witness, right, hey, there's going to be times in this depth where it's going to get ugly. And you have to be emotionally ready to endure that. Which means you got to have your self-awareness and you got to have a plan. And we have to desensitize you to this stuff. So when it happens in the real testimony, your brain stays prefrontal cortex. We do not go fight or flight. And the whole reason was we went through training, we went through a plan, and your brain was ready for that. All right. All right, folks. I hope you had fun with that. Nothing like a little neurochemistry to get your day started on a Monday morning. Litigation and Psychology podcast brought to you by Courtroom Sciences. I'm Dr. Bill Kanasky. We'll see you next time. Bye.